This is Disha Bagchi. I'm reporting from Tel Aviv from the Defense Tech Summit, where I'm going to speak to a startup that is looking at how to combat disinformation. Now, in India, we've been facing a lot of disinformation attacks in the past couple of months, especially since Operation Sindoor. We've been seeing massive disinformation attacks. Even to tell you a little bit, NDTV has been facing a lot of deep seek attacks in our reports from Pakistan. So, to talk about how significant of a threat do you think disinformation has now become in the current scenario? Even in Israel, of course, has been facing a lot of disinformation attacks, but as I mentioned, India too. So how significant do you think this threat has become?
I think it's the biggest threat. I don't think there is any threat that is bigger. If it's in air, if it's land, it's on sea, you have one soldier and then another soldier facing it, one airplane, another airplane is facing it. But as far as disinformation, the malicious player can do whatever they want. And it doesn't matter if it's Israel or if it's the US or if it's India, malicious player can do whatever they want. It's like a game where only one side showed up. Now, I'm not the only one to think that. According to the World Economic Forum, number one threat. According to the UN, number one threat. So, as said, I don't think there is a bigger one. And I would also add that India is considered to be one of the countries with the biggest risk of disinformation in the world.
And why do you say that what makes India so vulnerable to disinformation particularly? Because I mentioned that a lot of countries face it, but you say that India is one of the most vulnerable. So what are the factors that is really making us so vulnerable? And secondly, what do you think India needs to do to better protect itself?
Okay, so the short answer to why India, because it's so big. Out of the big countries, India is a democracy. So the ability of malicious actor to act, the ability of disinformation to spread online, the accessibility of social media for anybody on their phone. So it's the same terms that allow for disinformation to be around in any country. Democracies have much more disinformation than non-democracies, and the bigger the country, the more disinformation there is to do. And also you're in constant conflict with Pakistan, with other countries. The geopolitical world is very dynamic right now. So I think all of those together make India a country that is very susceptible to disinformation. That's the one thing. And the second question was about what can you do? Well, I think the first thing is to actually do something about it. Is to work with ideally startups like us that can continuously monitor the web, continuously monitor news, continuously monitor ChatGPT. Because right now, if somebody is asking a question, they'll go to ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT is already poisoned with disinformation. So you have to be on top of it all the time. You have to understand fairly fast what's going on, because with disinformation, if something is already viral, it's too late. So you have to be able to catch it when it's small. And then understand, is it coming from the outside? Is it coming from the inside? And that's where narrative technology can be of help, in the ability to take the investigation work and instead of weeks, do it in minutes. And then on the mitigation front, there are so many things that one should do. So government level, education, media literacy. That's not us, but it's extremely important. Regulation. It's what do you allow social media to run on its system? The world of takedowns. Being able to take down a network, being able to take down malicious users. You have a counter-narrative. You want to be able to say to your country, when you know there is a disinformation coming, you want to counter it before it even starts with the right information to the people. There are countless ways to tackle disinformation. There is no one magic bullet. You have to actively decide that this is something that you want to tackle.
So, do you also identify the sources of disinformation, whether it's the location, whether it's the platform?
We can identify location, language, platform, if it's a network or not, if it's deep fake or not. And now it really depends on the use case, because if there is another country, an intelligence team of another country, then they will use VPN, they will use avatars. You will be able to reach the network, and you will be able to work against it. I don't know if you'll know who's the person specifically behind it. If it's more of the world of social distrust in terms of hurting, which happens in India, companies in India lost hundreds of millions of dollars because of disinformation. In those cases, it's easier maybe to get to that person. And again, use technology to find them fast, have all of the evidence that you need to act against it. Currently, there's no threat, so they can do whatever they want. But I think if you start acting and pushing against it, then you're able to stop it.
And my last question is, India now is, and Indian startups are now looking at collaborating with foreign companies, foreign startups. So do you see India as a major, especially given the fact that you said that we're so vulnerable to disinformation, do you see India as a big market, a big client that you're pursuing right now?
India for us is one of the top 3 markets that we are looking into. I can tell you that we're currently in 2 advanced processes with Indian entities because the pain is so meaningful. I think that the willingness, the understanding that you have to do something about it is already plunged, is already evident in the country. I know there is regulation coming up that every governmental entity has to address disinformation.
Yeah, we need to also, I think our government is also saying that we need to now look at, foreign companies need to have local partners. Because we are trying to look at more becoming more self-reliant in defense. So is that something that you're also looking at, local partners?
Definitely. We are already in talks with local partners. Happy to talk to more. Again, India is huge, so I don't, it's not one. We can have as many as needed. I think honestly there is a place for 500 startups like us in India because the problem is so big. And we are very happy to talk to local partners. Because again, we think there is a great need. There is a solution that's already been proven and tested. Because unfortunately, we live in a country where we have the ability to develop it in real life in what's called a battle experience situation, and we're thrilled and happy to bring it to India and already kind of save you a huge amount of time on development and already get the work starting. So we're very, very happy to come to India.
I think what I find very interesting about what you're doing also is that at a summit or at a conference where we're seeing big weapons kind of targeting targets that you can see, enemies that you can see, you're kind of trying to combat something that's more virtual, more in the shadows. So a very interesting conversation with the CEO of Brinker. And this is Disha Bagchi signing off from the Defense Tech Summit in Tel Aviv.